Hey, Racco, do you hate fusion?
All right. This is Jeremy versus Jazz, and you're watching Guitar is Freaking High.
Welcome to part trace of my lesson sessions on Tommy Bolin's guitar playing on Billy Cobham's Fusion Classic
Right back.
off his album Spectrum. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2 and you're a Tommy freak like me, or you're just interested, I'll put the links downstairs. Anyhow, without further ado,
I give you the head.
before we get into actually learning the head note for note, I want to talk about a few things. First off, shout out to Bobby's backing tracks with drummer Frank Briggs. I mentioned it in the other 2 videos. Go check it out. I think it's like $6. It's one of the best backing tracks out there.
The second thing I want to mention,
it's really hard to play that head for me twice in a row and get it perfect every time. I've played it 1,000 times. For me, where I'm at in my guitar journey, Donna Lee is easier than this head. As complicated as that looks, if you take the tempo out of the equation compared to this is harder to play just because of the weird timing of it. No, I'm not saying Donna Lee's easy, okay? I'm just saying, for me, the way Donna Lee lays out and you don't try to play it too fast, there's a logic to it.
also,
I think Red Baron's quirky because it was written by a drummer on piano, I think.
number trace.
If you want Red Baron to sound right, you better dust off a Strat. And number 4
is using your ear versus reading transcriptions. I use both. My ear's not good enough to not seek help from written music. So when I first started this series on Tommy Bolin's guitar parts on Red Baron, I started looking for transcriptions of the head in particular because while I was pretty confident that I knew the funky intro more or less by ear, and also the solo after many years of working on it, I never was quite sure I was playing the head correctly. So anyhow,
let's take a little detour into transcription land.
the first 3 I found are pretty interesting. One for sure by a keyboard player because it focuses on what Jan's playing. I can't remember where I found it. It was just out there on the internet, so I don't know. Then one for sure by a guitar player because I found it on a site called Jazz Guitar Society. And then the third one, I don't know if it was written by a guitar player or not. It's pretty good as well. I found it on the website Sheet Music Plus, FYI. But there was one transcription I knew was out there and I couldn't find it. It was from a column and guitar player, and they would take famous shit and show you exact transcriptions of how to do it right because so many people were using tabs and playing shit all wrong and stuff. And I think the transcription was done by Jesse Gress. That dude was a badass. I couldn't find any of it until now. I found page 3. I found 1 page of it. It was buried in my files of all my other sheet music and old music books. It's not online anymore. It's gone. This 1 page is all that's left. Unlike the other 3 transcriptions, this Jesse Gress one doesn't have the whole head,
But it has a few golden nuggets of musical data that we're gonna mine.
but it's not perfect. At least I don't think it is. The very end, every other transcription I've ever found shows the last line holding an A for this whole bar and then switching to the G. Well, this transcription from Jesse Gress just has an A going across both those bars. I'm not hearing that. Also, there's 1 note in this that none of the other transcriptions have.
We're gonna get to that.
Anyhow, I think there's a lot of subjectivity with transcriptions. I like to find a whole bunch of them and compare them because the similarities and differences are really interesting and really insightful.
Anyhow, let's go back to the top of the head and go over it note for note, how to play it on guitar. By the way, I'm going to do my best to put a transcription up or an excerpt from transcription wherever possible or relevant. And I'm going to just try to put the note names up as best I can, like I always try to do. I don't have fancy, cool graphics, so hey man, go somewhere else if you don't like it. I said that before and I'll say it again. This shit is free.
We're sorry.
Where were we?
All right, so the head starts with those two snappy G notes. The high G on the 3rd fret on the E string, and the G an octave lower at the 5th fret on the D string. So you've got, sometimes I hybrid pick that lick and I'm not even thinking about it. So I can get that really snappy. So that's the opening salvo. All right, so we're moving on. The opening salvo goes into da-na-da-da-da-da-da-da-na-na. Now, on the original recording, the second time through the head, I hear Tommy play a little pickup D. I call it a ghosty D. So instead of da-na, F, G, 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 D, 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 I play da-na, D, F, G, 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 D, 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 D. I play that pickup D on that line every time because I think it sounds cool. Then we get the second half of that line. Okay, the way I just played that line, I put a triplet in it because it sounds cool. But on the original record, Jan Hammer and Tommy Bolin don't play that line with a triplet. They play it like this. Except at the very end of the tune, after the solos, they play the head one more time, 2 times through, and the very last time, Jan Hammer triplets the shit out of it. But Tommy never does. But a lot of people, including myself, do like to put that single triplet in because it gives it more pocket and swing. So you should learn both ways. Just to be clear, it's an 8th note triplet from the A to the B flat, back to the A, then back down to the G.
Triplet.
B flat, A, G, triplet, G.
Or, as written, no triplet.
Anyhow, moving on. So then it goes back to the top with the 2 G's and then the da-da-da-da-da lick. All right, let's review the head up to this point with the backing track. Then we'll get to the first really tough section.
Hey, Uncle, you still hate fusion?
Yeah.
After that, here comes the first really tricky part. Let's talk about how that whole crazy figure is written. It looks the way it sounds. So this line that you see is taken from the keyboard transcription, so somebody was obviously transcribing Jan Hammer. So the only thing missing is going back to the low G. So right now what you're looking at sounds like this.
It just doesn't sound as cool, right?
It's when you play that and Tommy adds in.
So I went ahead and wrote in the low G here because I'm pretty sure that's what Tommy does. And I wrote it in going over the bar line.
That would also displace this 2-beat rest and turn it into a 1-beat rest. On some of the other transcriptions, that low G is in there to varying degrees, but they're all written differently. I don't know which one's right. I don't think what I wrote right here is the right way to do it, but it's just my way of reminding myself that it's supposed to be in there.
Okay?
So you're gonna see it written like this from now on, popping up.
Okay? Alright. Anyhow, moving on.
Let's get back to talking about the rest of this crazy line. The Jan Hammer transcription has 4 triplet signs spaced out in a weird way underneath 3 sets of 5. And then if you look really closely, there's a dot over every second note. I guess that's an accent. I don't know. That little group of 3 is not a triplet. The triplet sign goes across the first 5 notes, and then it starts on the last note and ends in the middle after 3 notes, and then goes 1, 2, 3, 4 notes, and then goes another 4 notes. I don't fucking know. But the shape of the notes, that makes sense to me. It looks the way it sounds. There's a great interview with famous session bassist Will Lee where he talks about how He didn't know how to read music when he started out, and he learned by associating the same shapes and patterns over and over again that he was seeing on the written music. And eventually he knew what it was supposed to sound like just by the way it looked. I could imagine him walking into a session and looking at that and just knowing what it's supposed to sound like.
I just tried to look it up using AI, and all I could get to was like a quintuplet is a group of 5 notes that takes up 1 beat.
I mean, there's 5 notes in each of the 3 figures.
But it can't be quintuplets because there's only 3 groups of them and there's 4 beats to a bar.
But there's also a bunch of triplet signs underneath them.
Any jazz school nerds out there, please straighten me out in the comments. Thank you.
From here on in, we're gonna call this crazy thing a triple trill, because that's what it looks like, that's what it sounds like. I'm pretty sure that's not what it actually is, but I gotta move on.
Okay, with all that music theory splaining out of the way, let's get back to how to play this triple trill figure.
On the guitar.
You hammer down from the C sharp to the D, and then you gotta jump down to the adjacent B flat on the G string. You pull off from the B flat to the A to the G. You wanna get to that G. That lick is really hard to play 3 times in a row at tempo without the keyboard doubling it, because he can hide your f***ups. So it does it 3 times. Then it goes back to the opening, the double G's. Here's where we're at so far. All right, we're in the home stretch of the head. We got one more of these, and then this. And it's right here where something really cool happens. Jan and Tommy double the next part, but Jan takes his line up a 3rd higher. So what that is Tommy's part is the same thing that he does the first time around, and Jan plays it a 3rd higher. So now it's B flat, D, C, B flat, C, D, C, B flat. You can play it with a triplet or straight. So let's hear what Jan's part of 3rd higher sounds like to the track, isolating. That's super cool. I never noticed that in, frankly, 40 years of trying to play this song until I started working on these videos and rummaging through transcriptions and really listening. Anyhow, just make sure you and your bandmates figure out who's gonna play the part of 3rd higher and whether you're gonna do the triplet or not before the gig. And the very last figure that's, I think, the hardest thing of all.
Let's talk about it, mother. And then we can move on to the solo.
It's gonna take another year to do it.
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing the solo. As I've said in other videos, I accidentally deleted the video where I teach the entire solo to Red Baron. So maybe I'll redo it. Anyhow, back to this one.
Quit whining, you little. No one asked you to be a YouTube guitar teacher, and no one's waiting for your next lesson either. All right, so I'm busting out my 63 Custom Shop.
That's my birth year, by the way.
Fiesta Red over Sunburst Mike Landau Strat. For this, I need all the help I can get. This is the hardest line in the whole head as far as I'm concerned. All right, we're still in that first position, G minor pentatonic, but we're fingering it kind of more like a G major pentatonic. So we've got our Johnny finger at the 3rd fret on the G note, low E string, right? And that spreads us out for the rest of the licks. So the lick starts off on a G, going to B flat, just like that. And then it jumps up to the C for the chromatic run. So, G, B flat, C, C sharp,
Or D flat.
D, then we're on D at the 3rd fret on the B string, and we're gonna jump up to the adjacent high E string at the 3rd fret for this G note, right? So it goes G, D, and then open G string, and then hammer down on the B flat, on the G string. And the hardest part of all, after you hammer down from the open G to the B flat,
It's actually getting easier because I played it a million times. You pull off on the G string, pull off the A at the 2nd fret, back to an open G, to an open D, and hammer down on that flat 5, the D flat.
Or the C sharp.
Or the C sharp. So here's the whole thing.
Really slow for dummies like me.
And here it is at tempo. And then the last lick is this. What that is a pull off from the B flat at the 3rd fret on the G string to the A at the 2nd fret on the G string. And then you jump down with your pinky and grab the G at the 5th fret on the D string. And then it goes back to the A to the G to an F and back to the A. So the whole thing is. So here it is from the top.
Real slow.
And here it is with the music notation on screen, one last time, to beat a dead horse to death. Hey, remember when I was talking about the Jesse Gress transcription and I said this?
There's one note in this that none of the other transcriptions have.
I'm gonna get to that. Well, it's time to get to that. Check it out.
All right, so there's one note in here that none of the other transcriptions of this part of the head have. There's an F. See that F right there? So instead of this being a triplet, it's some kind of other 16th note, or I don't know what that is, 32nd note, but he adds an extra F note. Now I'm gonna show you what that would sound like. So here's what it sounds like the way we've been doing it. It's got the open G and the open D ringing out, right? Check it out. Now, here's what it sounds like when we add the F. A, open G, F, open D, C sharp. Let's hear that in the mix. Now, I know I was slagging on tabs earlier, and in fact, ironically, I mentioned this Jesse Gress transcription was a kind of remedy for crappy tabs. Well, thank you for Jesse for putting tabs on this one, because I couldn't figure out how to squeeze that F in if it wasn't for looking at the fingering in the tablature below. So score 1 for tabs. I do try to avoid looking at tabs, but sometimes they save your ass. Now, I will say this. Frankly, I don't know if it sounds better with the F. It feels a little forced in there, or maybe I just am not playing it correctly. It occurred to me after playing it a bunch of times that maybe it's more of a ghosty F, where it's really meant to just tamp down on that open D string, but you're really not meant to nail the F as hard as I was doing it in my examples. Maybe it's supposed to be more like this. Check it out. Anyhow, I think if you play it with more of that attitude of the F as more of a ghost note, then it's probably really cool.
Or more likely, I don't have the chops to pull it off no matter how you play it.
I had to slow that last example down with the backing track, 5 or 10%. Which actually was more like the real speed anyhow. I've kind of been playing it a little bit sped up with the Frank Briggs backing track. I noticed that a while ago, but I had shot so many scenes at that point I couldn't change it all, and it was good practice to play it a little faster. But once I had to add that extra note in on that very last line, then I was because I couldn't do it at that speed. When I slowed it down, I still could barely do it. I think it sounds cool without it. If you're playing with a keyboard player or a horn player that has really great technique and they can squeeze it in, and then you don't have to play it. I mean, there's a reason all those other transcriptions don't have that extra F in it. Or try playing the F like a ghost note. Either way, dealer's choice on that one. Now, there's one more thing on the Jesse transcription, the end of it. Check it out. he's holding that A note all the way through both of the last two bars. Nobody else does that. Everyone else goes to a G on the last bar. And what's interesting about holding that A throughout, you don't hear any movement, at least in the melody. So again, I don't know if that's right or not.
In the end, you gotta use your ear.
Transcriptions and tab, if you need to go there, which I obviously did, can only get you so far.
Alright?
In any case, we're gonna talk about the end of the head right now and some of these slash chord options.
But before we do that, let's review the entire head one last time, and I'm just gonna do the version without the extra F in it, okay?
Let's talk about the end of the head. So this is the first time we actually hear a turnaround, right? It's not played during the solos. The solos just vamp out over the G7 to the C7 or C9, right? But at the very end of the head, we go from an A at the 2nd fret to an open G. Let's get into some of these turnarounds. Let's start with the Jesse Gress slash chords that keep the A on top over both bars. Okay, so he's got the first slash chord as an A over G. So what is that? Well, it's a standard A triad. A, C sharp, E. And if you move the A, the bass note, down a whole step to G and put the A on top, you basically get an A7 drop 2 with G in the bass,
Or an A over G with the A on top.
right? And then here's our E flat over D flat. So a basic second inversion E flat triad with the 5th on the bottom, the B flat, the root in the middle, E flat, and the G on top. Then we're gonna add that extra bass note on the 6th string at the 9th fret, the D flat. So we have E flat over D flat. Except, like I've been saying, Jesse Gress keeps the A on top through both these chords. Let's hear it in the track. It's actually kind of hip. It's like oblique motion. You're keeping one note the same and moving other shit around. If there was movement, it would be this. Which is what I hear in the tune. Anyhow, every other transcription has the G in the melody on that 2nd chord in the 2nd bar.
So let's get to some of those.
The Jan transcription, or the guy that transcribed Jan's parts, I'm gonna trust it because he's a keyboard player and he's smarter than us guitar players. He's calling for 2 really interesting chords. The first is a D over E flat with the A on top. So here's your A, and here's the chord. So you got a standard D triad, root, 3rd, 5th. Then you're gonna put the E flat, the bass note, below it at the 11th fret on the low E string. And your melody note is right there, the A. Okay, so that's D over E flat. Then he's saying that moves to an E flat over D, which is really interesting. So we've got this E flat triad at the 8th fret with the B flat, the 5th on the bottom, the root, the E flat in the middle, and the 3rd, which happens to be our melody note, on the top. And then here's the D bass note at the 10th fret on the low E string. So you've got E flat over D. Let's hear it in the track. Remember when I said the Jesse slash chords had oblique motion, where the top note, the A, was stationary and the chords moved around it? Well, that was contrary motion,
Where both the bass notes and the top notes move in opposite directions. That's pretty cool, I gotta admit.
And finally, our last 2 charts have the same 2 chords at the end of the head. but they're not slash chords. They're 7 sharp 11 chords, which is the same as an altered chord. Both call for an E flat 7 sharp 11 to a D flat 7 sharp 11. And in each case, we've got our A on top and our G on top. So let's check those out to the backing track. Those are cool too, but that's parallel motion where everything's moving in the same direction. The bass note, the top note, the chord, everything's moving in the same direction. I think the other two options are more interesting because you had, in the first one you had oblique motion, and in the second one you had contrary motion. But they're all cool choices, they all sound really good.
Anyway, man, what a great tune. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm done with this freaking video. Oh my God. Man, if you stuck with me all the way to this point, I love you. I love all you guys. Thanks for the subs that trickled in while I was making this freaking video. By the way, I promise I'm gonna get back to more Barry Harris videos. I don't know what else to say. Peace out. Love you. Like you, subby. Peace.